What is up, guys? Wraec is here with new video, and today we actually got boss 9 here. Little bit of a new team, I have to say. We changed out the ATD for DGN, had to make some optimizations still, some changes to the team, because, well, I don't quite have the damage now to clear this, actually, with just the LFA and the ATD strategy. So I had to upgrade the damage on my LFA a little bit. DGN helped there a little bit by giving some of her attack buffs to LFA, which was quite great. You will see it later, round 5, I think it was. We get quite the huge burst where you can really see the damage going. Obviously, LFA, in my opinion, still the best damage dealer for this. You can really focus your damage all on that boss, and you will see once the boss is dead, this whole situation is no longer dangerous at all. So if you want to copy this team, feel free to do it. Some things to notice and some changes that I made that, in my opinion, help quite a bit. One thing that I made is I changed the attack order. In the earlier videos on boss 8, you will see that HHA was attacking before my LFA, which is not quite as great, as some of those enemies get buffs on hit. And one of those buffs is the R buff, which you really don't want to have when you want to do damage to the boss. So what I did instead was I let MFF go first. Then I let LFA attack, because MFF, well, she removes an attribute buff when she hits the enemy. So she has a chance to remove that DR buff, which you should now, by the way, see off the screen, is this little bubble thing, the blue bubble on top of his head. And that is a buff he has quite often. So removing that with MFF, at the same time placing a poison dot and then having snake pet, that is a good way to really enhance your damage. And then, of course, afterwards LFA, so the attack order really MFF, LFA, and then whatever you have left. That is really the way that I did it. I think the hit should come on the next round, on turn 6 actually. Every second round you can basically see that we get huge incoming damage, which is quite dangerous. And there was the hit nearly killing off the boss there. And keep in mind, that's boss 9. That is really a ton of damage that you need to deal there to get him that low and to go through there. We were at about 29 million attack, I believe. With a HD skill damage stone on the LFA. I switched away DR because I think the buffs from Void campaign treasures are actually active here. I couldn't really prove that yet. It isn't particularly specified that they are. But I removed the R and pretty much was still at the cap because of the treasures. It apparently felt like that. It felt like I still didn't take too much damage, or not any more damage than I would have with the DR imprint. So I went with Prec crit damage, which is a lot of damage, and really helped there. Of course, I think you should take a look at the treasures, keep them in mind for this. And now you can really see, by the way, how LFA takes care of those remaining minions. Those minions really aren't a lot of danger. You can see they don't really do anything. We now have attack stacked up from the that we stole from the boss, so now LFA just slays them. The only problem here really is we ended on turn 10, I believe, and that is not the max points. You want to clear it on turn 6, and that is not possible with the strategy I have here, but will probably be rather easy once we have higher stats. So, pretty good loot here, pretty good damage as well, all of the damage from LFA basically. But yeah, so let's look over the heroes a little bit. And there we are back in the game. LFA, again, we'd already talked about this. The main part is, well, not his home, which is also quite major, but we talked about this before. Little misclick here, no. The thing is, this part. Aspen deals extra 120% damage to bosses and steals 30% of attack from them. So with the like 40 million or 50 million attack those bosses have right now, boss 10 has 50 million. Not sure about boss 9, but also pretty close to that number, I believe. You actually buff your attack by quite a lot. Keep in mind those stats a little bit higher than they were before. Those are pretty much the same, the attack and stuff that could have changed. You can see his Prec is now at 84%. We got a little bit of block. Crit 55%, which is fine. We gain a lot of crit actually from treasures. We'll see that in a bit. Crit damage slightly overcapped, but, well, is a bit of an awkward position because we have this crit damage imprint and that is basically overcapping us. Not the perfect roll really, considering, well, it's mostly gets lost aside from 5%, so we were better off having like Wraec or holy damage there, but it is what it is. Armor break 68%, also we gained some from the treasures. Damage reduction 27%, very low, I give you that, but like we can compensate for that. So let's take a look at that. The SQH was not A2. I made that later, so that was something that we didn't have during that time. All of the heroes with crowns. I used to use GPF on the HHA. Didn't work out for me. He was pretty much slain in a lot of those attempts, so I put crown on him and now he survives. So I guess you more or less want to use crown and pretty much want to kill that boss ASAP. DGN added a lot of damage to us. She can copy buffs, you know that. I guess everybody knows that now. She can copy buffs to the highest attack hero. She gains some buffs from, for once, SQH, because she gives her an attack buff. And then we have, of course, the attack buffs from the core of Stark and Miss Tom's Young, which also help a lot. And then to have some synergy, I choose Snake Pet. On poison, we deal bonus damage. On the contrary, we had like, or in the last attempts we had like Phoenix, but we had no way to burn, so that is a little bit bad. The snake should be better in that sense. Okay, so last thing I want to go over is of course that you could have it a lot easier actually than I had, and you probably need less attack and less stats than I do, mainly because, well, that is a T5 Aspen. You will have it a lot easier if you have like an A1 or A2 Aspen, because of the transition tab, because of the divine power. So you can see it here, divine power, we gain some here, and the divine power gap obviously makes it so that I'm at -6, so divine power gap of 6, doing 35% less damage to those bosses, which is, yeah, a problem. And if you had like divine power 2 already, then the difference would only be 4, so you would deal 10% points more damage to those bosses, which is quite major actually. So that is something to keep in mind. With even the higher divine power, you obviously can, well, deal more damage to those bosses. This is basically the team. You saw all the heroes that were in there. There isn't too many special things in there. We all went for the R-block armor on all of those heroes, with the crown, speed aura as I described, MFF, then LFA, Snake Pet and LFA. Oh, yeah, one more thing. Treasure Train, because you have to see my Void campaign treasures, of course. There they are. Skill damage 150%, pretty major. There are 23% more armor break. They don't have too much armor, actually. 3,500 or something at level 500 isn't too much of armor damage mitigation. So not too great to invest into armor break. Get 100 if you can get it easily, but I would not like overcap armor break just to and waste an imprint on that. That's probably not good. 20% damage reduction in here, so we are like 55% before we gain any additional buffs from like SQH, which brings us very close to the cap. 31% holy damage, a little bit of maim, a little bit of control immunity, a little bit of armor, damage reduction by attack, and all damage, that is quite nice. Then we have 34% precision, so we are at like 110, 112, not entirely capped, but nearly. And with the 17% crit, we are actually at like 72 in total on the LFA, which is quite nice. So, with that being said, I just cleared 9. But there is one guy that I have to show you guys. That is ahead of me, by the way. Funny story, I cleared 9. I was super happy. I look at the leaderboard and I see this guy again, on place 1. And what I did was I asked him if he recorded it. He recorded it and he will make a video. Jesus is here, YouTube video. Haven't seen that for a while, but will be live in a bit. I already saw it actually, quite nice. He shows the clear with all of those SSS heroes. Didn't copy my team, by the way. I told him that the team is great. I really like that team that I just showed you guys. He chose something different. He worked with like DTV, pretty interesting, pretty nice to see those two in a fight. But I think the LFA still dealt more damage. You can get your own idea by watching his channel. I will link it to you guys, probably in the pinned comment or in the description. Make sure you watch that video. Will be out shortly after mine, so just hop over to his channel and you can see that as well. And anyway, have a great day and we'll see us in the next one.